Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to Holy Plot. This is Liam, Jacob, and James, and today we are going to be going over episode 5 of My Adventures with Superman. If you watch the channel at all, you'll know that we gave our general thoughts when we saw it early at Comic-Con. So this is going to be more of like spoiler talk and going in depth on some of the stuff we couldn't talk about last week now that everyone can see it. Jacob, how about you get us started?
Well, I think we should start just with a brief, non-spoiler, 30 seconds. It's a very good episode. The action's a lot better. If you've been looking for the show to start building to something, this is the episode that might win you over. There's a lot of good drama, and I think that we are finally starting to see the show serialize itself. So I really like this episode, and it's an 8 out of 10, and I heavily recommend you go watch it.
Spectacular Superman is coming into shape.
Yes.
The vision is becoming clear.
Liam, you got anything? You just watched it, so you got anything?
Yeah, I did not see it at Comic-Con. So, yeah, I really liked it. I think I liked it just a little bit less than last episode, but it's still very, very good. Some of the things that stuck out the most to me were just how it's handling the Superman and Lois relationship in a way I haven't seen before. And that's really exciting with characters who have been done that many times, even recently. Like, I think I touched on it a little bit last time, where I really respect how this Lois is an investigator and as an investigator would try to figure this stuff out about Clark and Superman. So that was cool. The villain was all right, serviceable, but the main connecting tissue was really cool.
Yeah.
And then the ending, which we'll get to when we get to, that's fun to speculate about. But let's start getting into some spoilers.
Yes, go watch it and then come back and go check out our other video if you want more non-spoiler thoughts. So, James, you kind of had a clear idea of what you wanted to talk about.
I think the first thing that we should talk about, we briefly talked about it in our non-spoiler, is the humor, particularly with Lois trying to prove that Clark is Superman. There were a couple really good bits that we couldn't talk about in the non-spoiler review, which I feel like would be fun to talk about.
I think just in general, and the humor is the best example of it. This episode and the one before it, they've really found their footing. And when we saw it, James and I, we saw it, with 1,000 people. I mean, the audience was thoroughly enjoying the comedy bits of it.
Yeah,
it was definitely very funny.
The whole joke about Clark's lie always being that he's got to go get a bagel was really funny.
Yeah, and it's Liam's point that they're kind of playing at the unbelievability, and I hate to say that, but the kind of the irony of the situation and how easy it is to see that Clark is Superman.
Yeah,
and how easy Lois would spot that too.
Yeah, that kind of gets into the drama of the Lois and Clark side. That's what I was going to say, is I feel like pretty much ever since Man of Steel, we're just starting to get rid of this idea that it's going to take Lois 10 years for Clark to take off his glasses, and it's this oh my god moment. I feel like we're cutting to the chase a lot more. I can see people being mad, almost like that's a tradition that's getting thrown out, but that is one thing where I'm okay to let go of what was started in the 1940s and just let it update.
I don't think it's more of a update than a abandoning of a part of the character. This show is pretty fast-paced. I mean, believe it or not, we're at the mid-season finale here, so they're kind of being forced to make some quicker choices, which I think, not just in the romance, but in the overarching plot, we kind of finally, and that's been one of our nitpicks, we finally get some connective tissue and some direction going.
Which, why don't we talk about that, which is really just the whole final fight of the episode, which we said, hey, we thought the action was better, but now we can actually talk about the players in the scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little funny that Slade is being pitted against another superhero that isn't his own antithesis, I guess, but
he gets around.
He gets around, exactly, and the action was great. I enjoyed it.
I actually like that. I like that for Slade, because the thing about Slade is
that's controversial, man.
It is, but that's the thing about Slade is he kind of doesn't give a shit usually. I mean, he eventually does. He eventually gets beef with characters like the Titans, but I think initially Slade is a contract killer. He's going to go wherever the money points him. And
This is also, this is not like the Slade we're totally used to. He's clearly much younger.
This is
So-
not
and
Slade,
and
though.
he's with Waller. He's clearly giving him orders.
Yeah, so I think that if anything, like if that's a disconnect for stuff, this guy's been doing this for a long time, man. He'll get there. By the time he's beefing with Robin, he's old.
I'm not entirely convinced yet that they couldn't have done the older bearded Slade and actually played up the fact that Slade's kind of old school and now he's going to have to start dealing with metahumans. I think there could have been something more to that. However,
I think they just want everyone to be young.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to younger Slade. I want to see more.
Mm-hmm.
However, as far as what we've gotten, for one thing, I like the costume. It's different, but I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Cool
pretty
costume. And I actually found it believable that he was kind of taking Clark. Like, I bought the scene. Because at first I was like, come on. You know, this is a guy who has to, like, really bring his A game against a bunch of preteens and teenagers. Like, you know, like, you know, can he really fight Superman? And I know that if there's Deathstroke fans, they'd be mad to hear me say that. And that's
Dude, there are Deathstroke fans here.
That's a joke. Slade
He got a video downvoted, man.
Yep,
No.
it's over. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah,
if
thanks,
you're just clicking
guys.
off now.
Sorry about the joke. No, but yeah, Slade can go against Batman, so I'm totally kidding there. But I'm enjoying this. I don't find his presence in the show weird.
No, I don't. I mean, I think
Yeah, I'm into it.
clearly the more, I don't know what the word is, but focal threat is Waller and Lois's dad, which I thought was an interesting choice.
Yeah, I for a second thought that might have just been a seed planted in the last episode with Amazites or Parasite, whatever, you know, whatever we want to call him. But that right here in the next episode, Sam Lane shows up, and I am really enjoying that Lois's dad is finally getting some stuff on screen because he's pretty much been untouched until Superman and Lois, a title that I often interchange by accident with this show.
I mean, yeah, it's clearly just a completely different version of him. So I'm this episode has left me more excited for where the plot is going because like I'm completely sold on these characters. You know, obviously it's Superman, but specifically these iterations, they've got me on board. But I needed the plot to also engage me, and I think this episode has effectively done that. So if that was something you're worried about, which as much as we like the show here, was something that even we criticized a little bit, I think you can definitely feel more satisfied when you get to this point of the series.
I pretty much wanted everything that the past two episodes have been doing, which is not waiting for the last, 3 episodes for some of the beats that they're doing now. One of which is, we can talk about the ending. There is no reset here. Lois finds out that Clark is Superman. How do we feel about that scene and how it was done?
I thought it was very good. I thought it was definitely some of the best writing in the show so far, and I liked how we have this very bubbly, and once again, I know I'm not trying to make it sound like it has a negative connotation, but we have this very upbeat, bubbly show, and we had this pretty dramatic turn for these characters. I thought it was a very good way of going about it.
Yeah, they build up.
Each one of the big three characters, Jimmy, Lois, and Clark, they all have like a big change this episode. Because a lot of times with shows that are really kiddie, like you said, there's sort of a reset where every episode, no matter what happens, next episode everything's gonna be fine. We start from zero. But this, like, Jimmy is kidnapped, presumably. Lois and Clark are beefing about their whole thing. There's a looming threat coming. This is, I think the way you put it worked very well, Jacob, where you said that it's really starting to feel serialized, which I think it's what we wanted, at least.
Yeah, it's kind of reminding me of like Invincible a little bit, which I know I just watched it, so I'm not trying to project, but it's like you have these disconnected episodes with their own little threads, and then as the show goes on, you realize they're more connected than you thought.
Yeah, at the beginning, it would be like I would watch the next episode because in my head I'm like, oh, I wonder what the villain's going to be this week. I wonder what they end up doing. And now we're at the point where I want to watch the next episode because I want to see what happens.
No,
yeah,
especially
that's a good place for your show to be.
With Clark, I really want to see how, because I mean we've not really seen them confront. I mean, really, when Superman and Lois come to like be completely open with each other. Lois rarely has an issue with it, but I think it's a pretty realistic thing for her to be like offended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lois is a very prideful, not necessarily in a bad way, a very prideful person, and I always thought that Lois would feel pretty betrayed that Clark didn't trust her, because Lois is obviously very confident in her own like wit and intellect and character. So
Yeah.
I can't see her responding well to somebody writing her off as not trustworthy with a secret, even though she's a
Especially
journalist.
this iteration.
Which they tackle that. Clark says that, like, you wanted to put Superman secrets all over the internet, and she's like, yeah, but I didn't know it was you. Which I think that would be very interesting if they don't drop that, and Lois has an arc of gaining a bit more empathy for the stories that she drops and who they affect.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
She's lacked a little bit of empathy so far. You know, she's
definitely facing consequences.
Yeah, which she was. We were getting there in the very first episodes where she realized that she was going to screw up Clark and Jimmy's jobs and everything. I'd like to see them keep revisiting that. Maybe she chases a story and loses sight of how it affects people.
Well, I think she, in a way, has kind of done that already.
Which final thing for me, at least, gotta ask. You know, we got Jimmy Olsen, who, by the way, I enjoyed the little bit that we got with him in this episode, realizing he's the third wheel, but he goes on his camping trip and gets kidnapped by a gorilla. What are our bets? Which DC gorilla do you think that is? There's like 4.
I'm gonna take the Ultra Humanite. That's my lock.
I'm also locking that, not to swag Jack Lamb.
No, I'm going with the one that wears the beret, the red beret, whatever the heck his name is. I'm going with that gorilla.
Well, yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
He's in Young Justice. Yeah, whatever that guy's name is, I think it's him. I don't think it's Grodd.
It's not Grodd, no. I mean, once again, I didn't think Slade would show up in a Superman show, so...
Yeah, it could be Grodd, you know. That's a valid point.
Grodd is the most popular.
But what would Gorilla Grodd be doing in, like, the woods of Smallville?
I don't know, man. What is he doing in the woods of Central City?
He's in the sewer, is he not?
Okay, his name is Monsieur Mallah. That's my guess.
I forgot we were talking about your beret monkey.
I think it's Ultra Humanite. I mean,
it's got to be Ultra Humanite.
Well, we will see next week when the episode comes out. It's been a little bit for James and I. We have not gotten new Superman, so we are excited.
It's having withdrawals. Yeah, I'm
happy. I have got a question for my co-hosts.
Okay.
So we are seeing, especially in this episode, Amanda Waller and Slade, who are both connections to the wider DC universe. My question for you if this continued, you could probably see where I'm going. Is this a world where we would like to see iterations of Batman and the Flash or Green Lantern or just the wider DC universe?
No. I mean, if you throw in like an episode where like a character shows up that we know, but I don't want it to be like a big connected universe sort of ordeal. I think I like its humble isolation from everything.
I feel like we got to start building up Superman as being capable of running a show with his own mythology, and that he doesn't have to lean on guest stars. Because I feel like Superman has one of the best like rogues galleries. He's got a great supporting cast, and so many times with Superman, his whole purpose is for Flash or Aquaman to bounce in for an episode.
Damn, Liam, you struck a nerve.
And be like, tune in for Justice League.
This is why we ask tough questions.
Well, I would love it, though. I think it'd be really fun because I feel like if you have a younger Superman, then you're going to get a Batman who's like 25 years old.
Look, I would be fine with someone showing up. I don't know if I want Batman and like the Justice League and all that. I kind of...
Who would you have show up?
I don't know, like a Lantern or like a Hawk.
Simon Baz. That's the Green Lantern I want to show up.
Flash, that would be cool. But I don't really need this to umbrella out into some big mythos. I think it's a good introduction point for Superman, and I want it to stay that because we desperately need it.
The furthest I'll entertain it, the character I'd want to see most with this Superman is actually Robin, Dick Grayson.
I think. You know what? That could be really cool.
I think he'd be very fun in this tone. And
I will take the Flash or Green Arrow.
I'm gonna also go with the Lantern. I think that'd be really cool.
Metamorpho.
Martian Manhunter.
One can dream. Shut up.
All right, do we have anything else?
I think that's it.
I think that's about right.
All right, well, thank you guys very much for listening, and we got some cool stuff coming up this weekend, so please stay tuned, and unless you guys have anything else, I think that is it for me.
That's it.
Thanks for watching Holy Plot. Like, subscribe, share, do whatever you got to do.